Rose came down bad on his left foot. See him holding onto his knee and down.
This moment established one of the biggest what-ifs in NBA history. But today that changes. We're giving Derrick Rose another chance, and this time making sure he has the perfect career. Not only will he not get injured versus Philly, but every 3 years, he'll get one of these 5 massive upgrades that have the potential to completely manipulate the trajectory of NBA history. However, before we get to that point, we'll be starting off for Rose's first few years in the league, which played out similarly to the reality of the NBA that we're all familiar with. He'd win Rookie of the Year in his debut season, become an All-Star in just his second year, all before becoming the youngest MVP in history. But to this point, he wasn't able to make any major strides in the playoffs, but was about to get some major help. It has officially been 3 seasons, so Derrick Rose is going to get one of the 5 massive upgrades. We're going right in the middle with number 3, and it's going to be the top free agent joins the team. The top free agent in 2011 was Carmelo Anthony, and he'd provide Derrick with ample help as an additional shot creator who would pour in 22.4 points per game. And with Derrick Rose now staying healthy in 2012, you may guess that Chicago would be running the NBA in this timeline, which you'd be right, because they'd finish with the 2nd seed, and come playoffs, they would face Boston in round 1, but the Celtics window had already closed, which allowed Rose and Melo to win in 6 games before heading on to an even easier round versus the Atlanta Hawks that would end after 6 more games to earn Chicago a rematch versus the Heat big 3 of Wade, Chris Bosh, and of course LeBron James himself. Just last year, Derrick Rose had battled with this Heat team only to lose in Game 5, so this year he was locked in for revenge. With Carmelo's addition to the team, the floor spacing was greatly improved from last year, and of course benefited Rose drastically as he was attacking in the paint now with less rim protection. Everything seemed to be going Rose's way in Game 1 of this rematch, but of course LeBron wasn't out just yet. He'd look up at the score to see the deficit, and he began to attack. Little by little, he clawed back into this game, fueled by his desperation to earn his first ring. Come late 4th quarter, he just got his team the lead, but Chicago had just enough time to save Game 1. LeBron just got the Miami Heat the lead here. Derrick Rose has it, 10 seconds left, down by 1. This would be huge, setting the tone of the series with a Game 1 win. Rose driving it on Chalmers, the lay. How do you miss that lay? It's no good, they foul. Oh my God, Chicago has no timeouts. I don't think they can come back from this. Wade to go up by 2. It's good. Chicago's gonna have to get this inbound in a full court heave. Derrick Rose from full court. Oh my God! Yo! After an absolutely heart-wrenching Game 1 loss, the Bulls came out in Game 2 looking deflated. Shots that they would normally sink were now breaking aggressively off the rim, and the Heat would take full advantage to secure a 2-0 series lead. But Games 3 and 4 would be played in the United Center. The Bulls knew what were at stake, and they would come out on a mission. Right out the gates, Derrick would come out swinging for his team. This fueled the play of his teammates like Boozer in the post and Carmelo creating around the perimeter to score at will, but somehow Game 3 would still come down to the wire. With Chicago currently down 2-0 in this series, up by 1 with just over 40 seconds remaining, this is a crucial possession here to extend your lead and have a chance to get back in this series at home. Derrick Rose, Mario Chalmers on him, he's trying to get into the paint, he throws down Joakim Noah. I don't know if you want Joe taking your last shot. Ronnie Brewer, they finally get it back to Rose. Rose just driving in, trying to make up for that Game 1 mistake. Rose, the pump, nowhere to go. He's leaning away. He draws the foul. He's headed to the line. Let's go. Rose hit both free throws. Miami took a timeout. They have just 3 seconds separated shot clock and game clock, down by 3. LeBron James has it here with Luol Deng guarding him. Fantastic fighter. Chris Bosh setting the screen. Carmelo's there for the possible switch. Melo, you gotta pick up. They get it down low to Chris Bosh. Bosh gets it in. 11 seconds. They're probably gonna play the foul game. Rose got in 2 more free throws to get to 30 points. Him and Melo both have 30. Miami used another timeout. Down by 3 again. That's their last timeout. They have to go for a 3 here. Mario Chalmers with it. Chris Bosh for 3. It's a big shot. That's off. Rose with the rebound. That's pretty much gonna do it. Not only would they win Game 3, but it would seem that they gave them all the confidence they needed, because in the following 2 games, they would completely blow out Miami to get up 3-2 in this series. And in Game 6, we'd have another thriller late in the game. With the Bulls up by 2 with 30 seconds remaining, Rose would drive the ball past Chalmers and finish at the rim over Bosh to put the nail in the coffin and secure his team a trip to the NBA Finals, where another challenge awaits. Kobe Bean Bryant was the final hurdle. We all know what the Black Mamba is capable of, and coming into this series, he would not disappoint. He was only 1 year aside from his back-to-back rings, and he was eager to get back on top. But were he and his team able to keep up with the Melo and Rose combo? While Melo was matching Brian nearly equally shot for shot, things would be different with Rose. The Chicago native was putting on for his city and totally outclassing anyone else on the court. This would go down as a passing of the torch from Kobe to D Rose, and he was being awarded the Finals MVP to go along with his first ring after this series ended in only 5 games. The Bulls were following up their championship with just as much intensity the following year in an attempt to repeat. They'd have a lineup adjustment, playing more of a small ball lineup this year with the aging Boozer coming off the bench while Carmelo started at the power forward. In this era of basketball, small ball wasn't so widely accepted yet, and many questioned the decision, but all the doubters were quickly silenced with the emergence of Joakim Noah reaching his peak potential. He was a major piece in orchestrating the offense with his elevated playmaking capabilities, and as always, he was anchoring Chicago's defense. It was safe to say that Noah was playing his best basketball since his college days. And speaking of college, I have to give a huge thank you to Southern New Hampshire University for sponsoring today's video. As gamers, I know we have all, myself included, dreamed of making our own video games. And thanks to Southern New Hampshire University's online game development program, you can make that a reality and start to gain the expertise and knowledge required to make your own game and help turn it into an actual career. SNHU is accredited nonprofit and has radically affordable tuition, and they'll help you learn how to bring your characters' environments to life with 2D and 3D modeling, texturing, and game physics. And one of the best parts is all of your courses are going to be taught by faculty with real-world experience, so you'll get real opportunities to connect with people in the industry. And when you graduate, SNHU will still be able to help you along your journey with your job hunt. So go to snhu.edu/Allen, link also down below in my description, to see if you qualify for SNHU's game development program. You may even be eligible for financial aid or have previous college credits that can help fast-track your degree at SNHU. So go ahead, click that link to get started, and now let's get back to the Bulls. Joe wasn't the only one playing at a peak level. Rose earned another MVP as the Bulls flourished and their record showed 72-10. I mean, they do say that history repeats itself, and it looked to be repeating itself in the playoffs also, after beating Orlando in round 1, the divisional rivals in Milwaukee for round 2, and eventually running into Miami for the 3rd conference finals matchup. While the last 2 years featured intense duels between the teams, this time would differ. Chicago had a clear upper hand this time around. The defensive pressure of Dang, Butler, and Noah suffocated Miami's attack, and with Melo and Rose running the show on offense, they'd be right back into the NBA Finals. And this year, they would be facing the Thunder's young big three. OKC may have had a lot of talent, but it wasn't going to be enough to overcome Rose's determination to repeat. Much like he had in the previous 3 series, he would lead all scorers, and with his team up 3-2, he would be closing things out in game 6 with an exclamation point. And as this game is winding down, the Bulls are winning by 20 points. Derrick Rose is winning another championship. At this point, he has 2 rings, 2 regular season MVPs, and 2 finals MVPs. His career is really coming together. I'm excited to see what else he can accomplish. But that excitement may have to wait, because while Rose got another MVP and his team would be getting back to the playoffs, they'd find themselves in a tough spot versus Miami. Going in round 2 versus Miami is not looking good. Literally all their big men are hurt right now. The Heat knew this and were on the attack, starting off with Wade and followed by a masterclass performance by LeBron, who was still looking for his first ring in this timeline. And his incredible play was paying off as he had his team off to a 2-0 lead. And while Rose would keep fighting and get his team 1 win, it may all be pointless as the Heat had a chance to close it out up 3-1. Chicago's down in this series right now 3-1. They're down 3 in this game with just over 60 seconds remaining. They need to stop here to keep this season alive. Their bigs are hurt, but they're starting to come back. LeBron the fade, that is off. The Bulls have a chance. Whoa, Dang is apparently hurt now too. Everyone's getting hurt. Derrick Rose, though, surprisingly the only man out. He's got Chris Bosh. It's a mismatch. He's driving it in on Chris, looking for somewhere to go. Gets down low to Carlos. Get that ball back to Rose. They do just that. Rose with Chris Bosh on him. Luol Deng, they're swinging around to Carmelo. This is not a bad option with the smaller weight. Melo driving it in the post, nowhere to go. The post up, Rose, the back door, his light, it's off. No way, cannot make a layup. On the other end, LeBron James has it, 30 seconds left. You have to stop LeBron right now. I know that's a tough task, but you have to stop King James. Chris Bosh with the screen. Carmelo, help, Carmelo. LeBron dunks the ball. He takes a 5-point lead. This is likely to Bulls' last chance. They're gonna have to score a quick three here, I would imagine. They get the ball inbounded to Derrick Rose. He's got one man on him, Michael Carter-Williams. No screens being used right now. 16 seconds left. Taj gives the screen. Derrick Rose driving in. He kicks down low to Taj. He gets fouled. But it was all too little too late as the Heat celebrate defeating the defending champions. To make matters even worse, Melo left to Toronto in free agency, and now Rose was all left alone, but he was getting another massive boost. The timing for this boost couldn't have been any better as the NBA was transitioning into a three-point heavy league. After his new boost, he'd become one of the best shooters in the NBA and crowned with his 4th MVP. Along with Rose's great play, Butler was finally having his breakout season and acted as a serviceable replacement for Carmelo's production. The Bulls would have a great record, and Rose was locked in for the playoffs. The first playoff series without another star since 2011 would be against the Celtics, who just barely scraped by to get the 8th seed. With their championship core long gone, this would be a fairly easy series for Rose as he'd sweep them 4-0 in a bit of a warm-up for the postseason. And that warm-up was much needed as the flashy John Wall was in the way of round 2. While Rose and company were able to advance past Washington, it was a grueling 6-game series that took their best play. John Wall was probably their biggest challenge they've had in the East during their runs, aside from LeBron. And speaking of LeBron, he was waiting for Rose again in round 3. This time he was in Cleveland, paired with superstar Kyrie Irving. Kyrie was going to be an incredibly difficult matchup for Rose due to his uncanny ball handling and shot creating capabilities. The elite Cavaliers duo would get their team off to an early 1-0 lead, but Rose would retaliate in the following 2 matches to get Chicago ahead 2-1 with confidence back at home. However, that confidence didn't reflect on the scoreboard apparently because Kyrie was scorching the Bulls and their frustration started to show in hard fouls out of anger. And not only did LeBron and Kyrie blow the Bulls out in game 4, but back in Cleveland for game 5, they would keep their foot on the pedals and force Rose to be in position 1 win away from elimination. But with failure looming, Rose dug deep and found enough gas in the tank to get it done again. He'd muster up a 45-point performance in a match to be remembered, all in an effort to force a Game 7 back in Cleveland. Both teams knew what was on the line in a conference finals game 7, and they would bring their A game. Point after point, the 2 Eastern Conference juggernauts would battle back and forth, but Rose would find himself down late. We're witnessing Rose's first major game 7 of his career. The inbound from Dunleavy, it gets out to Jimmy Butler. Jimmy to drive it in. His light, it's in. They get it within 1. A minute 16 left. Joakim with 19 and 10. He's eating out here tonight. LeBron James has the ball now with Mike Dunleavy trying to guard him. Just over a minute to go in this game. Verja setting the screen. LeBron curling around. Verja on the roll. He is not that acrobatic. How does he get a lay like that? In the clutches, look like these guys keep going for layups. We're not seeing a lot of jump shot attempts here in the clutch on NBA 2K24. Jimmy Butler with it. Derrick Rose has it here on the right wing. The pump fake. One man to be with Kyrie. Kicks it over to Boozer. Carlos Boozer in the post. This is an old Boozer. He's like 65 years old. Rose, 7 seconds. He blows by Kyrie, and he took over King James to get within 1 point. 42 seconds left. A year or 2 ago, LeBron beat Rose with a dunk, and now Rose is trying to do the same here, getting back in this game. Down by 1, LeBron James. He's got Mike Dunleavy the whole left side of the court all to himself, sizing him up. LeBron driving in on Dunleavy. The spin move, nowhere to go. Great defense by Mike. LeBron, he's traveling or something. His legs off. The Bulls have a chance. No shot clock remaining. Dunleavy doing behind the backs. Give the ball to Derrick Rose. Jimmy Butler with it now. Deion Waiters on him. It's MVP time, baby. Give it to Derrick. It's got to go to Rose. Jimmy Butler wants it himself. The screen from Joakim. Jimmy Butler. Joakim on the roll. Pump. Pump. Joe in the clutch. Joe in the clutch. No. The board. Joe again. Oh, no. The Chicago Bulls are devastated in Game 7. Why was the ball not in Rose's hands? The following year, Noah had a steep drop in abilities, and while Rose was going to have another incredible season, he would yet again fail to overcome LeBron. In year 9, Chicago moved on from Noah and acquired DeAndre Jordan in free agency. Additionally, Rose was also complemented by some other great shooters like McDermott and Reddick, which by no surprise opened up the floor for him and allowed him to dominate offensively. He and the Bulls will be back to running through the playoffs, but by this point, we all know the true test in the East was passing LeBron, and he'd be face to face again in the conference finals. This time was different though. Rose had a clear vendetta and was not going to be denied by LeBron again. Everything was about to change in this series as Rose was scoring at an unprecedented level. The series would conclude with the Bulls being victors after only 5 games, backed by an obscene Derrick Rose performance throughout the matchup. Rose is finally back in the finals. This Conference Finals MVP, crazy stats there. 36, 6, and 11. I don't know if anyone's stopping him for this ring. And I was absolutely right, because with the Rockets deploying Harden to guard Rose, it would be a complete massacre. This would go down in history as one of the most embarrassing sweeps ever seen, with the average point differential being 19 points thanks to some insane performances by Rose. Rose is just putting on a show here in these finals. 52, 10, and 7. Those are some crazy numbers to close of the series. He wins another championship. And not only was Rose hoisting up championship number 3, but he was also getting another major boost for the next year. With Chicago would open up that next year by introducing to the fans the new electrifying member of the team. Blake Griffin opted to join the contender Bulls that year, and it was smooth sailing for Rose from there. The next 3 seasons of his career brought utter dominance, and while they would fall short in the finals to the Warriors once, they'd still manage to win 2 more rings in a 3-year stretch, both versus the Utah Jazz and the Golden State Warriors in a rematch for 2019. Right now, everything seemed to be going perfect for Rose and the Bulls, but it was all about to change. Butler and Griffin had both moved on from Chicago, and now Rose was truly left by himself. He had one final chance to win a ring all alone, but he'd have to be quick as he was aging and his abilities were soon to regress. Rose will go on to have another stellar season this year, but will end up falling short in the playoffs in round 2 matched up versus the Greek Freak. And with time against him, Rose had one final opportunity to get his 6th ring. It's now or never. No, they got bounced in round 1. They lost to the Heat in 7. They were literally down 3-0, came all the way back, forced to game 7, but it just wasn't enough. And I don't know how much Derrick Rose has left in the tank. And unfortunately, the answer was not too much. He would still make a few more All-Star games and play well, but he began regressing and wasn't the MVP caliber player capable of making a difference. He'd play for 4 more seasons, but had no notable storylines worth mentioning. He ended his career with an incredible resume and would certainly be going down as one of the GOATs. But how about another player people are hyping up for GOAT conversations? Check out this video about Wembanyama and his career versus the greatest centers of all time.